Good morning, children. I hope you all are enjoying the summer break. Today, we are going to meet another missionary. He was known as the missionary with the bleeding feet. Let us get into the story. He was not perfect or a supernatural man. He was a missionary who loved Jesus and was willing to go anywhere, most of the time walking to tell people about Jesus. His name is Sadhu Sunder Singh. He was a missionary from our own country who spent his life telling people about the good news in North India, Afghanistan and Tibet. Already I have mentioned, he was known as the missionary with the bleeding feet because he would often be barefoot on his journeys. Sadhu Sunder Singh was born in Ludhiana, Punjab in 1889 into a Sikh family of respected landholders. His family, especially his mother, introduced him to sadhus. Children, do you all know who are sadhus? They are the people who live very simple while they try to live a religious life. She encouraged Sundar to learn about all religions. So, he read Hindu and Muslim religious books. He also attended Christian convent school so that he could learn English. His life changed when he was around 14 years old. His mother died unexpectedly. He became very angry, especially towards the God of the Bible, as they were teaching him at school. He brought a Bible to burn each page. He felt lost, afraid and angry. He looked at all different religions but could not find peace. He became so angry that he decided to kill himself. He cried out to God angrily and asked him to send a sign that night, whether there is God or not, and he had lot of doubts in his heart in that young age. Otherwise, he thought he would kill himself. That night, God did send a sign to Sundar, a dream. He dreamt that Jesus appeared to him. In his dream, Jesus had nail-pierced hands and feet. Jesus told Sundar that, listen children, again I want to repeat. Jesus told Sundar that he alone could save him and he was the one true God. Sundar's life was changed. When he woke up in the morning, he became a Christian and decided immediately to give his whole heart to Jesus. His family was not happy with the change at all. Sundar was only 16 years old at that time he took baptism. But his family was so angry with his decision to follow Jesus that they made him leave the family. Without a home, family, Sundar decided to be a Christian sadhu. That means he didn't want to have any possession like money or home, but instead he wanted to fully dedicate to walk from place to place telling about Jesus. As he walked from town to town in North India, Sundar wore yellow colored clothes like what I am wearing. He also used stories and songs to tell people about Jesus. As he travelled, some people were kind, accepted his message, but many tried to hurt him and even tried to kill him. Sadhu Sunder Singh continued to walk and to share God's stories in North India and even up into Afghanistan. Sundar especially wanted to take the gospel to the country of Tibet. He really wanted the people there to hear about Jesus. He made many journeys there. Whenever Sundar went to Tibet, he faced many dangers. The Himalayan mountains are very high and difficult to cross. Often, barefoot or just sandals, Sundar's feet would bleed as he walked. He faced many difficulties on his journey to Tibet. One time, he was put into the well to die by people who were angry about what he was teaching. The chief in charge put a lid over the well and locked Sundar inside. His arm had been broken in the fall and he could not even attempt to climb out. 3 days and night passed when suddenly the lid was removed and a rope lowered to help Sundar out of the well. When Sundar got out of the well, he looked all around to thank the person who helped him to come out of the well. But the Tibetan who has put Sundar inside the well was furious. When they recaptured Sundar, the man wanted to know who had stolen the only key to open the lid of the well. Then later on, they have set the Sundar free because he realized that the only key was there in his key ring. God allowed Sundar to travel not only all over India and Tibet, but also all over the world. He eventually visited UK, US and many other countries teaching the good news of Jesus. In 1929, when he was just 40 years old, Sundar wanted to take one last trip to Tibet. He was staying at home more and more due to his illness, but he wanted to go preach the good news one last time. He left on his journey and disappeared into the foothills of Himalayan mountains. He was never heard from again, and the Indian government declared him dead in 1933. Sundar lived a life devoted to God. He believed very strongly that nothing in life was as important as following Jesus and telling others about Jesus. He loved to pray and meditate on God's words. He used words originally spoken by other missionaries. Sundar wrote the famous words of the hymn, "I have decided to follow Jesus." He was willing to follow Jesus no matter what. Jesus said in Matthew 28, "Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. Baptize them in the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very ends of the age." Sadhu Sunder Singh took Jesus' commands very seriously. He believed that knowing God and making Him known was the most important thing he could do with his life. Akriti, can you please read for us Isaiah 52:7?
How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims peace, who brings glad tidings of good things, who proclaims salvation, who says to Zion, "Your God reigns."
Thank you, Akriti. Can you please read another Bible verse? That is Romans 10:14-15.
How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how then shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel of peace, who brings glad tidings of good things.
Thank you so much, Akriti. People need to hear about Jesus. Like Sadhu Sunder Singh, we need to be the people who are willing to go and tell them. Even though Sundar's feet were bleeding, they were beautiful because they brought the good news of Jesus to so many.